Greetings everyone! Thank you so much for joining me here for another episode of Bobolog. My name is Bobby Olan. I have no idea what episode this is, 44 or 45 or something. Anyway, whatever number it is, I want to welcome you all and thank you for choosing to spend some time here with me today. For any of my returning viewers, a very big warm hello, and for anyone who is newer, an equally big warm hello. What did I want to say? First of all, if you have only watched like my more recent episodes, which are what I call the more vlog style, where I sort of took you along throughout my crafting and not just sat here with you, which is what I like to think of as a more podcast style video. That is a new format for me. The vlog style is a new-ish format for me, and I do want to keep doing that, but these last few weeks, I have no idea how long it's been, they kind of got away from me a little bit. So I am back to sitting down and just having a chat with you. What else do I need to say at the start? Oh, I live and craft on the lands of the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people, and I would like to acknowledge them and pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and future. What else? I do my best to put the links for everything that I mention in the YouTube description down below. So if you see anything or if you hear about anything that you're interested in, just click show more, I think it is. Yes, and that should have everything there for you. I can also be found on Instagram at Platypus Knitting. I am not very good at posting, mainly because I just haven't been on Instagram that much in the last year, really, because I don't like how Instagram has changed to just bombard me with a whole bunch of reels that aren't really relevant to my interests, and I see less of the people that I want to follow. I know that you can choose to see posts only from those that you are following, but just the way that that is set up, I find it a bit less friendly to use. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I'm on Instagram at Platypus Knitting. I am also on Ravelry under my own name, Bobby Olan, and I am also Bobby Olan on Discord, where I am a member of the Australian Knitters Discord group. That's all of the introductory stuff. I have a few things to share with you today. For those of you who've been around for a while, this is a new location for me. I am in my kitchen dining room at the moment, and if you can hear that sort of ticking noise, that's because I've got a timer going. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm making a loaf of sourdough today, so I've just got a timer going, and I may need to pause what I'm saying and do a stretch and fold in the middle of this. Very likely that is going to need to happen. Anyway, I feel like I should just jump straight into handy dandy, because I am wearing a new project, a new FO, a new sweater, which I have been talking about for the last few episodes. So if you've been around, then you have heard me mention this. This is the Dione, which is by Natasja Hornby. It is almost completely size inclusive. I think she's just missed. I think that she could have just gone one size up to make it a completely size inclusive pattern. But luckily for me, I'm sort of usually in the middle of patterning. I think I was the third size in this, and I did pick a size based on recommendations from the Knit to Flatter class that I took on Craftsy, and before I had taken that class I probably would have chosen a size bigger, and I'm really glad that I have followed those recommendations because I absolutely love how this is fitting. mainly how it's fitting the body. I feel like the sleeves are a little bit on the loose side, and I have made a bunch of changes to this as well. So I don't know how, I hope you can see all of this. Big change number one is that I put in some waist shaping. So the pattern has an option to either just knit the body straight down, or you could do a very slight V shaping. For the sizes that I wanted to make, the circumference up here for the size that I chose was correct, and with the V shaping, the size at my hip was also correct, but I did want to add the waist shaping, so I just went in a little bit and out a little bit. I don't know if you can see, but I did most of the waist shaping at the back. So I don't know if you can see that the panel is not like it narrows at the back, but not at the front. So that was one change that I did. I also knit the body helically using 3 balls because I have made this using Tarndwarncoort yarn, and this gorgeous, absolutely beautiful peacocky greeny tealy color is a hand dyed color from Tarndwarncoort, and I absolutely love it. But because it is hand dyed, there is less consistency in it, so I thought I would try helical knitting. It's my first time doing helical knitting, and I did it with cables, which was a little bit maddening, but I think it was a good move. I only did helical on the lower yoke and the body, not on the sleeves, because I figure because they're a much smaller circumference, any sort of pooling is less likely to occur. And also I just had so many balls of yarn attached that I just didn't want to drive myself completely loopy by also helically knitting the sleeves. Yes, because what I did was I did my waist shaping, I knit straight at the waist for a little bit, and then I did the increases to get to my hip. And once I hit my hip size, I stopped the body. I still had 3 balls of yarn attached, but I decided to knit the sleeves because I wanted to make sure I had enough yarn to do the sleeves. And when I finished the sleeves, I went back to finish the body. So the sleeves, the bicep, the upper arm circumference, I stuck with the size that I had chosen for the body, but I recalculated, or I remathed the decreases so that the wrist would be the circumference of the smaller size, just because that is what I wanted. The thing is, I had done swatches. I'd done 3 lots of swatches. I probably could have done them bigger to give myself a better idea of the gauge. But the sleeves have turned out longer than I would ideally like them to be. So if I were to do this again in the same yarn, I would decrease at a quicker rate. I'd possibly also try to make sure that the bicep is starting at a smaller size as well, and then decrease at a quicker rate so that it's not so long. So it's actually, if I'm standing up, you can see that with the cuff folded like that, it's covering most of my hand. I would prefer it to be more like that length, maybe. So it is a bit on the long side, but I am still happy with it as it is. The other change that I made to the sleeve, which I did at kind of the last minute, is, so the sleeve is meant to be knit long. You can see I've been a bit lazy with snipping some of my ends there. They have been woven in, but I'm always really lazy with doing those finishing touches for things that I make for myself. Anyway, long sleeve so that you can fold it back in half. But I decided to do this so that if I'm wearing it, if I decide to wear it long because it's a bit chilly or whatever, I can still have my thumb thick sticking out, and I thought that was a bit of fun. So I've done that there. I'm really happy with that. The thing is, again, because the sleeves are a bit long, you can see that when it's hanging down, it completely covers my hand and only the tip of my thumb is poking out of that hole. But if I bend my arm, that is at a better position. So, you know, as I'm moving around, you know, it's still a very comfortable length. And the thing also about me keeping on saying that the sleeves are big is as I'm just wearing it, it doesn't feel big and baggy. It's pretty much just when I look in the mirror to see how it's all fitting that I think, oh, that sleeve looks a bit big. But I'm happy enough with it that I am not going to bother ripping back the whole sleeves and making those changes that I discussed. Goodness, I love how this is fitting on me. I love how the body is fitting. I feel like I got the shaping like just spot on, and I think it looks really flattering and really lovely. I love this detail that the upper yoke looks like it's another layer that you're wearing underneath. That's one of the things that really drew me to this pattern. I was also a bit unsure about this neckline when I was knitting it because it was seeming like it was going to be really big, but I think actually that it's sitting just right. A lot of people who've made this project didn't do this I-cord bind off on the neck that's in the pattern. They did ribbing instead, but I wanted to stick with how the pattern was done because I just I trust her design judgment on that, and I'm really, really happy with how it fits. So I think that's all that I had to say about the Dione sweater. How many balls of yarn did I use? Was it 4 or 5? I should have looked that up before I started, but I'm pretty sure there was a point where I think it was 5, because there was a point when I was knitting where I had 3 balls attached to the body and 1 ball attached to each sleeve. So it must have been 5 balls of yarn. And I knit 3 swatches. I unraveled 2 of them, but I only ended up needing to use up 1, and I used up the whole of that one. So I had about 2 swatches extra. So that worked out really, really well. Oh, that was the other thing that I wanted to say about this. I made this for the Colours of Fall knit along, which is run by the Yarniacs. It goes from, for us in Australia, it goes from the winter solstice to the spring equinox. In the other half of the world, it finishes on the fall equinox. So that is why they call it the Colours of Fall. And it's also because you're meant to choose the color that you're knitting in from the Pantone color trend forecast for fall winter, but they do also allow you to choose it from the spring summer forecast because they understand that half of the world is experiencing the seasons in the opposite way. I chose the color Aventurine because, I mean, it's this color. It's my absolute favorite color. I have a drink bottle this color. I bought headphones that are this color. I have 2 pairs of shoes that are this color. And when I did the styling photo for this to enter into the knit along, I was wearing one of the shoes and holding the drink bottle, and it just made me so happy to be surrounded by this color that I love so much. I did also, I only got this finished just in time for that knit along, and that doesn't include blocking it because I thought that I had another week to go, and then mid-September, I actually decided to look at a calendar and I realized that the equinox was actually a week away and not 2 weeks away at that point when I looked. So that was a bit of a mad rush. And I actually, when I was doing the sleeves, which I knit a traveling loop because I couldn't find my tiny circular cables for my interchangeable knitting needles at the time when I was knitting this, so I was doing a traveling loop, and I thought that I had broken myself of this habit, but I found that I was doing the thing where when you're knitting you keep pushing the tip of the needle down to move your stitches up to the tip of the needle, and I only realized because this finger really started hurting, and you should, or you may be able to see, because I actually got a bit of ink in there when I was refilling the fountain pen at work yesterday, but the skin actually broke and was really, really sore, and I had to force myself to stop doing it because every time I did it, it was like, ow, keep knitting, ow, keep knitting, and I just, bad habits, gotta get out of them. I'm going to take this off now because it is the warmest day of the spring so far. It is 25 degrees out there. My house is usually a lot colder and it was pretty chilly when I put this on, but I'm quite warm, so time for it to go. Excuse me while I change. Okie dokie, next up is, actually before I show you that next, I just thought I'd mention really quickly, once I finished Dione, I raced through making a few baby knits that my sister had requested. Apparently, so okay, start again. My youngest sister is pregnant at the moment. She is 35 weeks pregnant, and she said that the hospital asks parents to supply the beanies and mittens and things for their newborns to wear while they're still in the hospital. So she asked if I could make some for her. So my focus was to get the Dione out, and as soon as that was on, I just like nutted out some baby knits for her. I used yarn that I have in my stash that I've used for, well, the main yarn that I used, I've had in my stash for a while, and I've sort of been using it up slowly, making little baby things here and there. It is the Sirdar Click DK with wool. So it's a mix of wool and acrylic, and I'm pretty sure it's machine washable, which is why I always use it for baby knits. And then I also paired it with some old Lincraft winter warmth that I had in my stash as well, which was an acrylic mohair. And did I use all of that up? I think I'm pretty sure I used all of it up as well, because I wanted to use up the white click yarn, but I wanted to make it a bit more fun, so I used those up. I'll insert photos of what I did. Anyway, I did the newborn sizes for, there were a few different patterns that I used, so I'll list them all in the description below. I can't remember exactly what all of the pattern names are and who they are by right now off the top of my head, because I think there were like 3 or 4 different ones that I used just to get different looks and stitch counts and things. So yeah, I knit one set of mittens and beanie, newborn size, out of that DK yarn, and the beanie I thought was fine, but the mittens I felt like were still like big, even though I was knitting the newborn size. So I decided that I'd also dig into my stash and get out some fingering weight yarn. I used, it's called Bambini for, who is it by? I can't remember the yarn company, but it is Bambini for something by someone, and it's actually yarn that I had used to machine knit a scarf for my sister's fiance. So this new baby, which is their second child, will have a set of mittens and a beanie that will match his or her dad's scarf, which I think is a cute touch. Anyway, so I had to go and find a different pattern, 2 different patterns for fingering weight yarn to make the baby things out of. So I did that. The beanie, which I believe was called Ginst, it had a couple of errors in the crown decreasing, but if you just pay attention to what you're using, you just, it was basically, I think, mainly things like they said knit together when I feel it should have been a purl together to keep the ribbing pattern as intact as possible. Other than that, it worked out really well. I still feel like the mittens, I mean, they were the same size as the other mittens that I made. But so it should be the right size. If I've knit 2 different newborn mittens patterns and they've come up the right size, you would think that that must be how big newborn mittens should be. But when my sister asked me to make them, she was like, it should fit your thumb. And I could probably fit like 2 thumbs in there. But also I'm like, how can a little tiny human being's hands possibly be that small? Like, that's insane. Like, I know babies are tiny, but they can't be that tiny, right? Anyway, I don't have them here because I'd already given them to her. So I would have chucked in photos somewhere for you. Okay, so the next thing that I do have to share with you in person is the PokaPoka hat, which I have been making for my partner. I had been alternating working on that and the Dione sweater until I realized that I had to crunch on the Dione. And then I have sort of been going back to this back and forth. I can't remember where I had gotten to with this before, but basically I knit the first half of the beanie using the Fiddlesticks socks yarn and using my 3mm Addy Novel Long Crazy Trio needles, which you can see there. And then I decided I would ask my partner how he would like the other half of the hat to be. So did he want it to be stockinette stitch inside and out? Did he want it to be the purl, the reverse stockinette stitch on the inside, so it's almost just like you're still just seeing the inside of the hat? I think they were the only options. Yeah, they were the only options that I gave him. And he said he'd like to see the purl side on the inside when he flips up the beanie. So I actually got most of the way through the second half and then I ran out of the yarn. And I knew that I would, but I still kept knitting it because I wanted to see how far I would get with that. So I got most of the way. I think I was about like 10 rows off from having to start the crown decreases, and then I ran out. So I asked him, I pulled out some other yarn from my stash and I asked him which one he would like it to be. He chose this. Ooh, oh dear. Let's ignore that, shall we? He initially chose this, which is also Fiddlesticks yarn, Fiddlesticks socks. So it's like dyed in the exact same sort of patterning way. It also has some more subtle like striping to it as well. But I was like, oh, don't you want to use this other yarn instead because it's grey and it has a bit of orange? And he was like, yeah, okay, you can do that. But then I started using that and I was just adding it to the top because I was like, yeah, it can all be, you know, the orange and grey yarn, and then the top third of the inside of the beanie would be another colorway. But it was just so dark. I really didn't like how it looked. So I ripped that all out. And I ripped out maybe like 20 rows or something, and I went back to the yarn that he'd originally chosen, and I really trust him because he's a designer and he has a better eye for design, for how things look, I feel, than I do. And I decided that I would start helically striping that yarn in a bit early before I had to just solely use that yarn. But let me see if I can show you here. So, okay, so that's the striping sequence of the original yarn. And then if you compare it to the helical sequence, you can see that in this one here, the grey stripes are a lot bigger. And after I had done a few rows of that, I didn't like that half of this was in the original striping pattern and then it started getting grayer. So I ended up actually just ripping out this whole second half and helically striping right from the start. The thing is, because I had also started knitting a version of this beanie originally that was way too big and then cut the yarn to start the new beanie. So when I had unraveled everything back to the start, I actually already had 2 balls of the original yarn. So I was able to do my helical stripes as 3 stripes, 2 original, 1 new colorway. And I'm really, really happy that I was able to do that, because instead of like single row stripes, it has sort of allowed for like single row, double row, single row, double row. I hope this is making sense to you, but you can kind of see this brown section here. It's like 2 rows of brown and then a row of gray, and here in this orange, 2 rows of orange and then a row of gray. And I'm much happier with how that is looking, because it kind of looks like how it's meant to be. And another happy accident is it just so worked out that the 2 balls of the original color that I was using, they just lined up pretty perfectly, so that whenever I get to an orange bit, they're both, each ball of yarn is at the orange bit. So yeah, it's all just kind of working out really well, and I'm really happy with how it's going. So that's what I have left of the original. And yeah, we'll see how far I get with those. I should be able to make like the whole hat striping helically, which will be really great. But of course, I'm showing you this side, but when it is finished off, you will be seeing the inside. So it's kind of like spaced out and blended even more. I'm hoping you can see that. But yeah, I'm really, really happy with how this is going. Because it is helical, I can no longer walk and knit with this project. It has become my sitting in front of the TV watching Grand Designs project. Oh, that's good timing. I was about to jump into my next topic, but my timer has just gone off to stretch and fold my sourdough, so give me a moment. I might go sit this in the sun. Okie dokie, what's next? I'm gonna diverge a little from crafting here, because I have just started bullet journaling again. I started at the start of this month, which was just a few days ago, and I'm finding that it is bringing me a lot of joy to be bullet journaling again properly. And I just wanted to show you, for anyone else who's interested in stationery or planners, I just thought I'd share really quickly what I have done. So right now I am using the Any Day Now A5 dot grid notebook here, and I have stamped the first page, the header page, with this lovely set that I got while I was in Japan. It's a really cool stamp set. which is a lot of fun to use, even though I haven't had many opportunities to use it. I have also had to use it though, because this notebook isn't numbered. I've had to use it to number the pages in this notebook, which has been a bit tedious and messy, but also kind of fun. Anyway, I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this. I feel like I'm saying that a lot today, but yeah, I've set up a key. Sorry, that's the key, and just a guide here for some grid spacing for any future layouts I may want to do, to help me divide my pages evenly without having to do all of the counting. I've set up a future log here using the Alistair method, and then my monthly log is using the Frankenlight method. I have, just to start off my week here, I have a running log, and I also have at the top here a star tracker system, which I'm really enjoying using. So I've got 16 things that I want to track every day, and I've grouped them into things of 4. So each item is assigned like a vertical line, a horizontal line, a sloping up line, or a sloping down line. So if you do all 4, you get a little star on that, for that section for that day. And then yeah, I've got the running log beneath it for one-off things that I know I want to do during the week, but I don't know when I want to do them yet. And then I'm just doing running logs, and that's all I've got so far. That's today because I'm baking bread. I've put a little bread sticker. Anyway, this is bringing me so much joy, and I just wanted to geek out a little bit and share that with you. I have, oh, I've put it over there. I'm such a baby. I have my main tools that I'm using for it in this pouch that I recently got from 11T1 Windmills, and I actually have my pens in a separate little glasses case that I'm not actually using for glasses, that I haven't used for glasses in a while, and I only have them in a separate pouch within the big pouch because this aluminium ruler here that I got from Muji, it just makes a terrible, it's like nails on a blackboard to me. How it rubs up against the pens just makes this horrible sound. But I do really like this ruler because it has like a beveled edge on one side of it, so that if you're ruling with a fountain pen, then it's not going to leave like streaks when you move the ruler away, because that always annoys me. And then I have in here just like a couple of stamp things as well, and a little corner punch thing for marking pages. But yes, yeah, I'm really enjoying doing it, and it was actually a lot of fun to set up. I didn't have many pages to set up, and I'm trying to keep it minimal, but it makes me happy. And yes, oh, I have to talk about this, don't I? So Multicrafty, here we come. I am weaving. This is my loom at the moment. It's a rigid header loom. It is actually a kid's toy loom. But I don't really like calling that because it's a serious loom. It works really well. You can see like it's quite a big size, and it has patterns in it for like making like a little girl's dress and some bags and things like that. So it's like, it's a serious loom. And I have used it in the past. I've made a couple of things with it in the past, but I haven't done anything with it for a while. However, in about a week, I don't know why I keep doing this to myself, setting myself projects with ridiculous deadlines that I then just have to like push myself to reach. Anyway, in about a week, it is my crafty aunt's birthday, and it is a milestone birthday, so I wanted to make her something. She does everything. I'm pretty sure she has woven before, but I'm pretty sure she doesn't own a loom, so it's not one of her regular crafts. I'd say that her main crafts are quilting and knitting. She's she's just amazing. I've mentioned her here before, but I always just refer to her as my crafty aunt. Anyway, I decided that I would weave a scarf for her. So I went looking through my stash to see if I had a special yarn that I could use for her in a colorway that I think she'd like. And I found this yarn here, which is Oyster Yarn's Eden's Blend. The colorway, I believe, is called Westerly, and it is this gorgeous blend of pinks and grays and purples, and it is, I am pretty sure, 70% BFL, 20% silk, and 10% cashmere. So it's a really luxurious, lovely, gorgeous blend. And I actually started warping the other night, but I didn't go ahead and wind it on because I remembered that I wanted to try this system of tensioning rods for winding it on, just to make sure that like your warp goes on really evenly so that your finished weave is really nice and even. And I have, you should be able to see a couple of really long sticks of dowel there. But I have to cut them down to size. So basically I'm gonna get 4 sticks out of that will sit on the loom, and the yarn will be going over, under, so that when I'm winding it onto the back beam here, it's just giving it that little bit of tension to make sure it winds on really evenly. And then I can start weaving, and I, again, me just liking to challenge myself, I have decided to try doing a pickup sticks pattern for the first time, and I have chosen a free pattern which is, it's called the Windowpane Blanket, and it's from Ginst yarns. And yeah, so it is a blanket pattern, but it does also mention that, you know, if you want to make it other sizes, just do this. For example, if you want to make a scarf of this size, then, you know, just do these calculations. Unfortunately, I didn't think about this, but because I only have one skein of this yarn, I couldn't actually make a full width scarf. I would have liked to make a scarf that was like 40 or 50 centimeters wide, and I'm making it like what I feel like is the shortest acceptable length for a scarf, which is 1.5 meters. Again, I would have liked to make that a little bit longer too, but I'm aiming for a scarf that's about 1.5 meters by 23 centimeters, I think, after shrinkage. And obviously, like, I haven't woven with this before, so I don't actually know how much shrinkage there will be, but I'm basing it off like 10% shrinkage, I think. So yeah, I have also, you're not going to be able to see, but I have also chucked in, can you see how there are some darker yarns there? Just to be able to make this a little bit wider, I went looking through my scrap jar, and I found this here, which is a bamboo sock yarn, and I think that the colors go with it really well. And I just thought to just add like a strip of a different color way, a different yarn like running down the length of it would just help add a bit of interest, and it allows me to add about 1 inch of width to the scarf as well. So I'm really, really looking forward to getting stuck into that. But I feel like weaving is one of those things, it's kind of like sewing. Like, I always think it's going to be like super quick, and then I sit down to do it and I realize, oh, this actually takes time. It is still like a slow craft. I mean, it's still produces like an amount of fabric quicker than knitting that same amount of fabric would for me anyway, but it still like needs time. But I'm so happy with how this is looking. I think it's going to come out beautifully. What do you think? Do you agree? I'm so excited to have it done. I think that's all that I had to share with you. yeah, that's all that I had to share. I feel like there was something else, but it probably wasn't important. This is all that I'm working on, and that's all that we're here for, right? Is to talk about crafting. So anyway, I shall wrap it up there. I'm probably, now I've still got about 15 minutes before I have to do another stretch and fold. I am just rambling at you now, so I shall stop. Thank you again for spending your time here with me today. Oh, that is one other thing that I did want to say. I have been thinking that next year I want to do things a bit differently. I want to try to do more project-based videos rather than podcasty, let's look at everything that I'm doing videos. So, and I have some other ideas of things that I want to do next year as well. So next year I'm not planning to do any more of these regular catch-up, let's chat about everything videos. That may change depending how everything just goes, but that is my plan, and I wanted to mention it now because as we're moving towards the end of the year and towards Christmas, I don't know how much time I'm actually going to have, and I feel like in the past, when it comes to the end of the year, I sort of just disappear after a while. So I thought I'd mention that now, and I thought I'd mention that I may just disappear. I hope to still keep, doing these vlogs right up to the end of the year, but you never know. So if I don't see you again before then, happy holiday season, whatever holidays you celebrate. And hopefully I'll see you before then, but if not, I'll see you guys next year for the other types of videos that I have planned. But it was also interesting as well that I had been thinking about moving to more project-based videos because I'm also in a group of Aussie knitting podcasters, and one of them, Oliphant Cat, had sort of asked a question about doing, I think she's interested in doing more project-based videos as well, and she was asking how people go with those kind of videos and with vlog kind of videos, and there was this whole big chat within the group, and it was just really nice to see everyone, contributing and sharing their experiences and opinions and things like that. I don't look at stats. The only time I ever see stats is when I log into YouTube Studio to upload a video. So because of that, I am aware that my subscribers have been slowly increasing over time, which is really lovely to see, but I'm not really in it for the numbers. Possibly that is also because I have a bit of fear and anxiety around what that would mean if I started caring and paying attention to that. Anyway, what was my point? Maybe just that it was interesting that I'd come to this sort of decision independently, but other of my vloggy friends out there are sort of starting to lean towards the same inclinations at around the same time, and I just thought that was really interesting. Anyway, that is really all that I have to share. Once again, for the millionth time, thank you for taking some time to spend here with me today. I would hope to see you soon, but if not, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the year and enjoy your crafting and spending your time however you enjoy spending it and with the people that you want to be spending it with. I'll see you when I see you. Fare thee well.